start on the face because she gets badly rubbed over her forehead, and we work it into the skin under the fur stand with the tips of your fingers. And we wear veterinary gloves because it stops any cross-contamination if it's going to happen, and it's much kinder on the horse's sore skin. They slip a slide over the skin much more kindly than one's fingers. And her eyes are very sore, and so we lay it gently over there to keep all the flies and midges off. And it's hard, scabby little bits underneath the eye there, where it's dry from fly attack, and midges. Good girl, stand. And the ointment is very soothing. So it's all covered. Any ointment that gets in the eye won't matter because it's so water repellent. It will slide out. If you need to syringe some water in to get it out, that's fine, but it should naturally come out because it's water repellent. Stand up, good girl. And she's rubbed under her forelock. So we work it all in there. So we're getting the skin just sticky. Now I'll change sides and do the other side. Little scabby bits on the central area there. Squidge it in so that they're all well covered with ointment. It's covering all areas because the midges will find a little patch, as with the pony rubbing under the rail, if there isn't the ointment barrier. The creases between those front legs and the chest. Stand. And it's no advantage wasting your ointment laying it on top of the fur. You have to get it under the skin. I mean, obviously it will be in places you have it on the fur, but it's no good smearing it on the top. It's a waste of ointment. If you've got the skin absorbing it, the top layer of the skin, you then can't bite through. Now, I'll do the mane now. Work from the pole. Separate the hairs every sort of half inch and work the ointment. It's very scabby in there. You can't see a problem there, but it's little hard scabs. Stand. The skin. Working over to the other side as well. Goes the whole way over. And the fact there's no obvious rubbing there is that she hasn't got an easy rubbing place for that part of her mane, but it's just as badly bitten as the rest, because there are lots of little dry scabs in there that you can't see. So it's by feeling very carefully, and the gloves, the veterinary gloves, if they're unpadded, are ideal because you slip a slide through very easily and you can feel little scabs. And squidge it up and down. We've got a lot of mane left, up and down to get it to the roots of the hairs. Now here, although we've bathed her, there are lots of little scabby bits still that have come away from the skin. They're just in the base of the mane, if you can see them. It's a particularly dry area, so I'm squidging it up and down into there, and she's beginning to get very harsh, which is where she was able to rub. She'd obviously got a branch or a rubbing post that she could get to this part of the mane, but not behind the poll, behind the ears. A lot of scabbing there. The ointment will ease off scabbing when healing's occurred underneath, and meanwhile it keeps it all supple and much more comfortable for them, apart from stopping any further biting. On the edge there, where there's the whorl, is biting. So come down a little bit lower than the roots, just down here on the edge. There's biting there, scabby there. Right. Now we're nearly coming to ridging. If they don't have good rubbing posts in their field when you turn them out, they can't tell you where they're still being bitten and where you've probably missed. It's very easy to miss a place. And the midges are very quick to find the one little patch that's been missed. Now she's been bitten the whole length of this neck, just as much hair as up there. She just hasn't had a rubbing place at the top part of her mane. And unless you give them rubbing places, they can't tell you where you've missed. Many people put them in electric fenced area to stop them rubbing their gates down, and the poor things then can't tell you, and are just demented. They can't relieve themselves of the itch at all. Now we're getting to the really calloused area that's ridged, and what we need to do is to put her head down to the ground so that let her eat grass. Then they will open up. That's it. And I can get the ointment to the cracks, the deep cracks that are there. Very harsh, hard, dry and ridged. Miserable. Without getting their heads down now, you won't be getting into the ridges, and the midges will be there biting. And further than that, the ointment won't be there to promote the healing process, to keep it supple and more comfortable, and to get those scabs, to get it healing, and a bit further on, hair regrowth. There's a lot more little bits of scabbing that's lifting now with the ointment. I'm not pulling them off, but they're just kitchen tissue. All the scabbing that's come off, you'll just wipe it off. It's a long job, labour of love, it works. And as it's a once a week application, full application that I'm doing now, every day when you check your pony, it can be turned, when we finish this, it should be turned out to full midge challenge. And we're high midges here, we're on the edge of Billwater Reservoir. And because we're organic, we have high hedges, a lot of trees, and they harbour their breeding places for the midges. So we are a very high midge area. Steady, come on, here you go. And they can go out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no need for any protection other than the ointment. It does the trick, which means they're much happier. And when you check them every day, take your ointment pot with you and check for any areas that look dry. If it's dry, dusty weather, they've had a roll, you'll find the withers there will be dry, where it's rubbed off and the dust has taken it off. The dust is stuck to the ointment and then dropped off. So patch apply every day wherever's got dry. And maybe mid-belly, so they lie down in the grass and it's dry, it rubs it off a bit. So you're going to check daily mid-belly and muzzle. Muzzle if they're bothered about sunburn. We haven't done her muzzle because she's not sore on that at all, but we do that to stop sunburn. Which just hadn't quite reached over. It's important to go this little layer 2 inches below the top root on the mane, because they will bite there. So now we're going to the armpits. And she's quite scabby in there, that armpit, she wasn't any other. This one, she's very scabby in. Very fine skin. It's easy feeding for the midges. And the midline. You'll probably see she's saying this is lovely, keep going, itching. Now I'm coming to the other area, which is more sensitive, fine skin. And she's a lot of little scabs there as well. And up under the whirl there, and that fine skin. And up in the stifle and the groin there, right up into the high creases. And that doesn't get worn off. Now the areas that she's rubbed there, trying to get to her tail, she's rubbed the top of her back, but she's not midge-bitten there. But I'm never aware of them being midge-bitten on the top of the body at all. That's purely from rubbing to try and relieve here. Particularly to try and relieve the tip of the dock, which she can't itch because it's tucked between her buttocks when she rubs. And the fatter the horse, the quarters, the less able they are to rub the tail because it tucks into the fat and the fat hits it first. So you get rubbing all around here, not so much sometimes with the tail with fat trainers. Right, so now we're going to... This needs ointment, not because of midge biting, but to promote the healing process. Right, now we're going to do just between the hind legs and that soft, soft fine skin. Right, so we're working down the tail, and because the tail is ridged, we won't get into the ridges unless we round the tail. Good girl, stand, relax. So if we put our hand under the tail, then that will open up the ridgy cracks and we can get the ointment in. So there's nowhere for the midges to feed. And I've got into the hairs on each side, the big scabs on the side there, right up by them. And it's a bit sore there. There's a big scab there, and a crease, at the side of a crease. Now we're going to work down the dock because it's itchy down there, not just up the top. Again, parting the hairs as we parted the hairs on the mane, every ½ inch. Again going right around the edge of the dock. Just getting to the tip of the dock, so you need to do it all round. It's no good it's twisting against me as tight as anything, she's so itchy there. You want to make sure you do the whole of the tip of the dock. That's it. And underneath at the end you've probably got about 3 inches where there are hairs growing underneath, so do that, the underneath of it there, but you don't need to do the underneath of the top bit where the hairs start to grow centrally down the centre. And now I'm just going to do between the hind legs this fine skin is easy feeding. Do you think you would hold her tail? Okay, that's a help. Stand. So all down here, between the buttocks, right the way down, all this fine skin down to the, nearer to the hocks, because she's a very severe case. It's not normal to have to need to go as far as this, but by doing your itch test and feeling for little scabs, you'll know what areas need to be done with your particular animal. And the buttocks that I've done, there isn't a little area that I've missed. Just stand her up a sec, stand up. So I'm going to feel her udder, make sure, no, I've joined up. I've felt right through, you can probably see my hand there, right through her buttocks, and it all is sticky with ointment. That's important. It's so easy to miss a little bit in there.